really all he needed was the W in range for him for the additional attacks, the faster attack speed, and then went melee and just crushed him.
I always love the animation when he does that, because it's supposed to be he just pops off 3 shots real quick in range. But when you do it melee, it's just Jace losing his mind, swinging his hammer around like a maniac. It's one of my favorite.
Full barbarian.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic. But he does have the Muramana fully evolved now. Seraph's Embrace ready to go on Palafox too. Serrated Dirk in the inventory of Gory. And as he starts building up more lethality, this is where things are going to start getting scarier and scarier for everybody not named Sejuani. Those shock blasts are about to wreck any health bar that doesn't hit the piggy.
And he's got to be someone who's actually finding those correct targets, because they don't have the greatest front to back, I don't think, right now. Stixxay still not in the best position, so it's going to be a lot on Gory to kind of be that X factor, him and River, to find those chunks on the squishy targets. It's also worth noting, I actually really like this build from Poom. He goes for the tank mythic here. He is really, really strong going Radiant Virtue, because he actually got a lot of early gold. He has some kills, he got a lot of assists. He can go towards that more easily, so they are playing double Radiant Virtue now, which is going to mean in a team fight, between him and Contracts, that is going to be a tremendous amount of healing that really can shift things and may actually force a little bit of heal cut to be purchased.
And I like the fact that he's adapting to that early gold like you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
If you end up being the guy who gets the money, it's a long-standing meme in League of Legends. Oh, support just KS's the money. Cool, I got my boots. Well, the cool part is being able to adapt and be more relevant like you're talking about, especially on somebody like Rakan, who's already a big playmaker. You've got to dive in the middle. Radiant Virtue's extra tankiness, the healing that you're talking about, with how close these fights have been, could be the difference between life and death.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really effective on a lot of supports, but you don't often see people buying it simply because often supports are pretty starved for gold, right? They just need to kind of scrape together whatever components they can get. But if you got a little bit of extra gold in the pocket, go Ray for it. He's already got CDR components, so he's going to be looking good. Also very difficult to burst him down. Even if he goes in on that engage and gets hooked up or something like that, he does have a lot of additional tankiness there that is going to make it difficult for them to really get something done. But 25 seconds about here until this next dragon is spawning, and we'll see what the setup is going to look like. CLG kind of first to move down towards that bot side river to try to establish some control.
Palafox dodging away from the empowered shock blasts of Gory. Golden Guardians setting up their spot and their vision around the Baron pit here. You can see that Dokla snapped over the wall, cleared the ward, auto-attacks the Baron once, and then snaps back. That way Baron's pissed off, and if Golden Guardian steps into the pit, then they're going to take the auto-attacks from Baron. It's just a way to get some nice, easy harass down there. But Golden Guardians, they're going to sidestep away from the Arctic prison of the Sejuani. And that means that they're chilling right now. They know that one of those big engage mechanisms is down, but they still got to be aware of Poom.
Yeah, Poom has such a good flank here. As long as he stays safe on his own, doesn't get engaged on, he can always threaten that hard engage. I don't think there's a realistic chance that they can actually do this, but they clearly just want to force fights. They don't want to give CLG more time because they know CLG has such strong scaling, so they're going to try to force a confrontation here. But the positioning is too good from Poom. Unless you can actually catch him and kill him off on the other side, you can never commit to a fight on the bot, or Poom is going to crush you on the engage. So Golden Guardians are just going to have to leave.
Very, very nice positioning from the side of CLG, particularly to Poom, for guaranteeing there is no safe way for Golden Guardians to do this. Remember, Chemtech Rift means those blast cones go really far. You're going all the way across the river, landing next to the Scryer plant. So Poom recognizes he needs to back away here. River wants to go back into the pit, clear out some of the vision placed down by CLG. This whole time, Dokla and Luger were on the other side of the map getting the Drake, and that's the whole point for CLG.
And this is why these kind of like threatened Baron trades never really work, to be honest. It's so rare to see them work these days, Sometimes it's your only option when you don't feel like you can fight for the dragon. You kind of have to go up there and hope that your opponents make a mistake. You can get a pick, maybe make something happen. But it's so easy to send one member to actually solo out the Drake while the others mark the Baron take. And it's pretty difficult to pull it off, even if it is a 5v4 up there, because it's usually the team that's in a disadvantageous position that's even looking for that potential Baron take.
Dokla still farming up on Yone, has his second item completed. It's lifesteal on top of more lifesteal. Immortal Shield Bow always feels really good on the Wind Brother champions just because you get that sort of baby Sterix that lets you go in and look for your O10 power spike, even if you don't get it, as Poom gets chunked down by Gory, who is just not afraid on this Jace. Has the Serpent's Fang completed as item number 3. You're going to have shields on Yone, shields from Rakan, shields from Orianna. There's a lot you can cut with that.
I'm not going to lie, if that was a Shirelia's Rakan, he probably dies. Yeah, I think that actually might be the difference. It's a couple hundred extra health plus all of the additional armor that's on there. 200 extra health, 30 extra armor. So potentially could have actually died had he gone for a different build in that situation. Puma is actually pretty darn tanky, so Jace can still flex on some of these squishy champions for sure. but it's just going to be difficult to get access to them. And Contract's not going towards a Warmog second, which surprised me a little bit, but looking for the ulti here. Nice repel.
He repels, but he's going to repel right back down onto the ball. Palafox was ready with a follow-up shockwave, and now Rivers killed off at the very start. Palafox flashes away. Dokla's ready to protect him. Golden Guardians seeing if there's anything they might be able to get back here. The Elise has reached the point of the game where she is no longer the apex predator in the jungle. It is kind of scary in these situations, even if he repelled away from the Glacial Prison. CLG had the follow-up.
Yeah, I mean, unless Elise has an angle to get onto a backline, then you can really start to threaten something. Nice little sidestep from Luger. They're going to turn it around.
Boom is ready to go, and Stixay flashes and still dies. Luger now looking for more. Gory's got to flash away next. Licorice, Huhi, and Gory all trying to get away. River not alive for another 5 seconds. CLG seeing their moment. Boom snapping in with both summoner spells ready to go. And they find what they were looking for. Now they're going to teleport right back in with Dokla. Teleport right back in with Palafox. It's a 5-man CLG Baron play as Licorice goes over the wall with a blast cone. Whom could potentially get caught out here, but the other blast cone's going to get him right back to safety. River's nowhere near for a steal, and now Dokla is going to apply more pressure to Huhi. He has to snap back as the timer runs out, but CLG just grabbed control of this game.
Yeah, this one is completely out of control there. Great initial sidestep from Luger, and then just walks back towards Poom, which gives him the ability to just battle dance on over to him, look for that hard engage, finds it. They go in, they get that initial kill, and River was already off the map, so it is an easy follow-up on that play. You know, Luger already on the 3-item series. He was basically a full item up here on 6 at this point. Great sidestep initially, and then E towards Luger, straight in with the ulti W on towards Stixay. CC's him up, they burst him down, and it's just full-on retreat here. They take the Baron as well, and it is Soul in a minute 30 here for CLG. So Golden Guardians' time in this game is quickly running out. And the nerve's definitely going to be hitting a little bit harder now. You know, these are important games. You want to stay upper bracket, and you want to be making sure you are definitely qualifying for playoffs. So these are really important games on both sides. But it's CLG in the massively better position right now.
Such a difficult game to play out as Golden Guardians from this point up against the Xayah, who's now got the 3 completed items plus the last Whisper for just the additional armor penetration there in that 4th slot. That's going to help a lot punching through the Scion in the front lines, who's always going to be trying to target him and get in the way. You can see Stixay having now completed his own Bloodthirster. Maybe this will help him survive a little bit better, but it's so difficult for him to be able to go in there when you know he's going to be targeted by Recon engages, when you know he's going to be targeted by Yone. Any possible chance.
I mean, we haven't even seen Yone interact with him yet, and he's still getting, you know, burst down, CC down. It's difficult. You have got to position really well here on the Aphelios. Sure, you have Cleanse, sure, you have Thresh, but they're constantly pressuring him here and overlapping CC, you know, having that hard engage that feels pretty much guaranteed. It does make it really, really difficult because they kind of know he's the only real threat. Like, unless Gory can just walk up on one of these squishy carries, which he can't, no one else can really threaten them anymore. So they just have to put all pressure on 6A. And even if 6A survives, if he's running from the fight, it's a winning fight for CLG.
CLG with control over the enemy jungle leading towards the objective. They've still got Baron for another 45 seconds. The Drake Soul spawns in 5, and so they're just going to have most of their players walk over there while Dokla tries to maintain a little bit of pressure here in mid. Uses the Q3, snaps back. There it is, fate sealed. And the fate of the Drake is what we're talking about, because as Dokla draws all the pressure, CLG collects the prize. Chemtech Soul for them, and that means extra damage and extra survivability below half health. So these close fights we've been getting all game are about to be a little less close.
Yeah, all those times Luger's living with 1 auto, he's going to be doing max damage now. So
hell yeah.
It's going to be really tough to deal with him. We keep seeing Gory get these chunks onto Boom, but it's just not really resulting in too much. And CLG now moving forward very boldly here, even just committing the Shockwave onto Licorice for a little bit of a chunk.
Okay, Glacial Prison doesn't find any targets there. Contract's not grabbing anybody with that one, but hey, it's no big deal. They're just going fishing. Use it, see who you can find. If you hit somebody, great. As long as they're not Scion, we'll take them out. If you miss, whatever, just try again in a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they're not really being pressured at all. And it's going to be up to Golden Guardians to see if they can find something to really flip this game on its head, but it's just so heavily favored towards CLG. Dokla, if he needs to, he can ult out. It just came up, so he's going to be able to even save the summoner there. Gets out of dodge, no problem. Should be a lot of gold being built up here on Luger as well, so he's going to be closing in on the LDR. A lot of players completing items here, you know, on the CLG side. And death cap being done for Ori, plus already has hit level 16 a while ago, means that even Ori can kind of threaten that 100-0 type play on these squishy members now.
So, I mean, what's the move for Golden Guardians? Do you even have a move, or is it just hope that they screw up?
I mean, I think realistically, like if you're trying to play it out really seriously, you try to control vision in the area, and you hope the wrong person face checks in, and you can burst them down. I think that's your only real recourse from this position. I think any fight where CLG sees you coming at them is pretty much unlosable for CLG. So Golden Guardians, you try to overlap one side, you try to find pockets of vision, have your Jace, your Elise, your Thresh stacked in a brush, see if you can get a 100-0 play. It's only real chance. But even if you get those picks, they have Soul and they have a 6,000 gold lead, so you would need so many of them. And then even after getting a bunch of those to delay the game, you probably then have to somehow find a way to get the Elder, and then maybe you can have a realistic way back into the game.
Yeah, CLG with Dokla in the side lane. That's one of the areas the Golden Guardians was looking to make a play. Licorice disengaging top as CLG makes the move for him. Sion's ulti just buffering through the CC and then immediately stopping. Golden Guardians now have enough men in position to defend this tier 2 turret. There is 1 minute left until the Baron spawns, and I feel like that's gotta be just about the herald of the end of the game because of the fact that CLG should get it for free. They're 6,000 gold up, they've got a soul, then you just walk it in.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see if Golden Guardians even want to walk out of their base for that, or if they're just going to kind of turtle it up, hope they can make some sort of a play. Utilizing those inhibitor towers, trying to find some sort of an overdive that they can punish from CLG. But it is going to be very, very tough. There's not really any sort of great play that they can go for from this point, so you've got to just pick whatever looks best to you and take a swing at it. Because you can see they don't even have really any vision out on the map. You start looking out, and it becomes very, very difficult. Even their topside jungle, they really only have this very kind of preliminary line of vision, nowhere close to even the river, let alone the Baron. So getting out there to challenge is just such a big ask.
Well, River on this Elise, he had a nice early game, but currently 2-5-3, has not been able to find the same success after we moved into the mid-game, late-game phases, after we moved into the bigger team fight.
Yeah.
Elise's weaknesses have been at the front of things.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really, really tough. When you're playing up against these kind of compositions, if you aren't snowballing, it's so difficult. So Golden Guardians are going to move out, but look at Poom's positioning on the side. So hard to get in. Dokla finds River.
That's all he had to do. Just keep Elise away. Make it so there's no sort of a chance that you lose this objective. Licorice flashing out. Contracts falling back to the rest of the team, and now CLG's ready to re-engage. Licorice is tanky. Tanky enough to live, but only for now. Dokla? Okay. Yone. Anyway, we've got CLG wearing Baron, and now all they gotta do is regroup and get ready for the push. There's still 2 minutes before the Elder Drake spawns. CLG is gonna have Baron all the way up through that spawn, and it means they can control the whole rift and have the fight they want for the Elder.
Yeah, and that is gonna make it even more difficult now for Golden Guardians. So they decide they want to move in on the Baron pit. But again, it's the positioning from Poom fighting on that flank. You can't hard commit to the pit, because if you do, you're gonna get crushed by the flank every single time. They don't have really much of an ability to do anything about it. Now, you can see Yone hitting that late game stage. That is half of the HP off the side in one quick trade under tower through his shield. That's what it can look like if you let it get to these late stages.
Yeah.
He has had all the time in the world to farm. Nice little force of the Gale Force there. Contract's only using his Q, didn't even have the ulti. And that Gale Force is quite a long cooldown and very precious for Stixxay at this point, who's really their only realistic chance of making something happen.
And I love the fact that they're just looking for that. They're saying, look, we have no wave, we're not gonna be able to do anything real here, but any resource we get off of him makes the real fight later feel a lot better. Contract's leading the charge. There's the cleanse from Stixxay. That's all they're doing. You walk Sejuani up, you make Stixxay spin to cooldown. This is what you taught me about MMO PvP. You trade your crappy cooldown for their good cooldown, and eventually you win.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing really does apply in League, where it's trading of resources, it's trading of sides of the map, it's trading of cooldowns. These things are where you can carve out small advantages, and if you can spend a shorter cooldown for a longer one, you're almost always going to come away positive from that trade. And I love how Contracts is playing it, because first one, he Qs in, he's immediately turning around to get back. He already got the Gale Force. This time, he gets the cleanse immediately. It's not like he's even queuing in to follow up. He's just going to throw the ulti and back it up, because he knows if he doesn't cleanse it, they can follow up. So, getting those resources out, really nicely done. Stixxay will buy a stopwatch, which is something, but it's just so hard to imagine he gets enough space to actually make something happen in a team fight, because really all CLG has to do is pressure Stixxay, and there's no consistent damage.
Gory just died solo to Dokla back in the mid lane, off screen. This is a problem. All CLG has to do now is just dance back and forth with Golden Guardians, and Dokla will win the game. Golden Guardians, the pressure on them just doubled with Gory dying in that 1v1. You said it earlier, you favor Yone as the game goes forward versus Jace in that solo matchup in a side lane scenario, and that just showed off why. Dokla giving his team a 5v4 for still 30 seconds from now. Stixxay's already dead. There's the trade of cooldowns. There's the superior resources left to spend. Golden Guardians have already lost 2 more, and Luger doesn't think that's enough. He and Licorice are trying to escape, but Poom's coming around from the corner to try to cut him off. Dokla's ready to go. They don't want Yone taking the turret. As soon as somebody else has turret, that's when you go in, and that's when he goes down. Poom leads the charge, and a teleport onto the cannon minion to try to keep it alive, tanking up the turret. Licorice knocks it away, so they'll at least target the others, but now he's stuck running back into the fountain. Luger, unstoppable. CLG looking to end the game right now. Licorice's dead body won't even be able to rampage through him. Dokla resets his position back onto the fountain, unfortunately, but CLG still has so much time. 10 seconds on Stixxay and River. CLG don't even care. They're trying to pad the stats and get another one on Gory, and there's the execution. CLG, we said they had to win it, and they won it. They'll take down Golden Guardians.
CLG kickoff Super Week in a huge way here, taking down Golden Guardians, moving to 8 wins, which greatly helps them in this playoff race here. CLG really